Hey everyone, we are back with another update video, and by we, of course, I mean with me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And so, first big news, as you could see, we've passed the €100,000 stretch goal, and to review what that is that everyone's getting in their boxed versions, well, not just in the boxed versions, actually, for all versions of the game, we're adding a survival mode gameplay. Or gameplay mode. And then we've got 3 additional cards, so now that's a total of 6 collectible cards that you'll get in the boxed versions. And the Neo Geo will now also have reversible covers. So just to remind everyone what that is, going back to the Mega Drive, for example, the boxes are plastic and there's a paper sleeve that has the actual box art printed on it. And you could slide that in and out, and you'll be able to flip it over, and there'll be an alternate cover that, for example, for the Mega Drive, one side might have the graphical treatment that was typical for Mega Drive games, and then the other side would be more of the graphical treatment that was used typically for Genesis games. So it's going to be the same kind of deal for all the Neo Geo boxed versions now as well. And the other big topic for this video is actually to cover 1, an idea, and 2, a special shout out and thank you to Joe from GameSack. So we mentioned in the previous video we had sent the playable demo of DaemonClaw that you see here to some YouTubers, and we got some really good feedback from one of them. We can now reveal that that was Joe from GameSack, and he just gave really good feedback, and we were able to update the demo, which I think we explained to some degree in the past video. And we just wanted to talk again about that topic of how valuable getting totally fresh new players is, and how big of a mistake it can be basically to have your guard up and your ego sensitive to resist constructive criticism or even criticism that you might take as negative at first. That is very often the most valuable criticism of all.
And to not go into any details about that interaction with Joe, there was a pretty big contrast between him playing it for the first time before the slight tweaks and changes were made, and then afterward, I think there was a huge difference in his enjoyment level.
Oh, yeah.
It made us feel more confident about striking the right sort of core audience for this game.
Yeah, exactly. To basically make sure, like we've said in so many of our videos, when you're developing your own game, you become such a god level, skill level at playing the game. You're a terrible judge at the difficulty curve and how frustrating it might be and things like that. And so it can be so easy to fall into that ego trap where you get a bruised ego and you could start thinking, what? This person's just a terrible player. They just don't get my brilliant idea. The world isn't ready yet for my brilliant idea. And so that's really the important thing to keep in mind is your grand vision for your game is not for the overwhelming majority of players to give it a try, get really frustrated, and give up, and therefore never get good enough to be able to appreciate how brilliant your ideas are. The analogy I've made in the past, if you tell a joke to a crowded room and no one laughs and you have to explain the punchline, it's too late. You've just done a bad job telling a joke. Or maybe the joke wasn't as good as you, or as brilliant as you thought it was. You know what I mean? One of those, or a combination of the two. So it's really important to be able to check your ego at the door, so to speak, and just really listen to the feedback and go, okay, there's a really good chance, especially the more people you get to play that have never seen the game before, if the general reaction is, if you're seeing frustration, if they're dying a lot on level 1, realize that you're almost certainly you've fallen into that trap of not being able to see how difficult the game is to fresh players. And that was, ironically, despite our constantly warning other game designers about that, we partially fell into the same trap because when we first invited new players to play the game, to test it, to get the feedback, which was very, very useful, don't get me wrong, but the fact is that we invited it to people that were first our Patreon patrons and then to subscribers of our YouTube channel who they hadn't played the game yet, but they'd seen us play it a million times and knew exactly how we intended for people to play it, and they knew all the tricks even before they ever touched the controller. That was one of the great, really useful things about the feedback from Joe. So we're actually I'm gonna play the level 1 boss fight now, but I'm gonna try to remember to quit out of it and skip to level 2 once he's near dead.
Right. Yeah.
But
I think speaking to, I'm like you now in that I've played the game so many times that I got so good at level 1, I didn't even think about its level of difficulty or anything. Yep. I think what helped me though, I kind of I pretended to be a player that just didn't know how to do any special move, right? And all I was doing was normal jumping and punching. Yep. And that opened my eyes a little bit to like a few things we could do, to fix it. I was like, Absolutely. Oh yeah, I kind of get it now. Like people are bouncing off of enemies a lot when they're just trying to jump around and things like that. And that helped a lot. But it's still, at the end of the day, like you have to get people that have never touched it or seen it before. Fresh eyes and that kind of stuff.
But yeah, absolutely. And we've said this before in a past video, the best thing you could do is put fresh players in front of the game. Don't sort of set them up. Don't tell them what they should do or whatever. Definitely show them a thing with the move list or whatever, but just let them play cold without you talking to them first, and especially record them playing. Just seeing what they do tends to be much more valuable than what they say afterwards, because a lot of times people, they want to be supportive, they don't want to hurt your feelings, or other kinds of people will be like, they'll see a side-scrolling game with a warrior, and they'll say, it would be better if you made it exactly my favorite Castlevania game, which is also not useful, you know what I mean? So you gotta find that balance. But in the case of Joe from GameSack, if there were things Joe didn't get or didn't like about the game, it was definitely on us, because we knew he had the background of being another Sega fan and specifically having played and enjoyed Black Belt, years and years ago for the Sega Master System, which was the biggest initial influence for the DaemonClaw gameplay. We knew if he wasn't enjoying himself or just it wasn't clicking, then there was a problem with the demo, with level 1, basically, with the difficulty curve. And sure enough, when we directly took care of the specific criticisms he gave us, and he played it a second time, it was just that, I liked this, I really liked this, everything clicked. Everything that we knew was good about what we were doing, he enjoyed it without us. Go ahead.
Props to Joe for communicating those specific points very well. That really helped us see those specific things. Because we sometimes, even beyond just getting good at the game, you'll just overlook things. You'll just forget about certain mechanics or things that you felt like you never needed to address again. And just not think about them,
Right.
Yeah.
But so it really was just an awesome exchange that was really important to us. And now we have that. I'll just cheat to get back some health. Just the whole exchange. It gave me the confidence to know that anyone else now we send the demo to, it's definitely much more likely that they're going to not get frustrated in level 1, and that the things that we knew were fun are going to have a chance to really capture the player's attention and be appreciated.
Yes.
And I know I'm reiterating myself, but why not? I'm making my way through level 2, but it really is great and very important. Get those fresh players, really take their feedback and watch them play, and be willing to make those changes. And it also for everyone that wants to be supportive to people making games and stuff like that. Don't fall into that trap of wanting to be emotionally supportive and encouraging. And, it's actually giving that, I really didn't like this, or this frustrated the hell out of me, or stuff like that. That's golden.
Yes. And if you can communicate that idea well of why you think there was a problem with the gameplay, even if it's not, like a bug or something,
right.
It's just a balancing issue or whatever,
yeah.
that is incredibly valuable to game developers. And like you said, there are some developers that might have the wrong reaction to that sometimes.
Yeah,
but we've been around a while like ourselves, so we kind of grew a thick skin a long time ago about those types of things. We have to even have those internal conversations, about working through problem solving, working through the various points of an idea. And sometimes the great idea you had in your head might get superseded by someone else's better idea, either on the team or even a tester or something, and you have to be willing to kind of go, okay, like, let's try that out.
And that's another really important point. Some ideas are only good on paper or in your head. Like, that's just something that, and so many people will have an idea that conceptually they really love. They'll put it in the game, and either they won't take the time to really perfect the timing and all that, or they won't be able to convince themselves, you know what, no matter how many times we tweak the timing and the way it looks and stuff, it's actually not fun, or it's not conducive to the rest of the gameplay. It just doesn't go well with everything else. You have to be willing to actually take things out if they don't work like you thought they would. Or like what you were saying, Corey, to replace it with another idea that might not even sound as cool in your head, but actually might work infinitely better in the actual game. So, that's another thing worth considering. But that's actually pretty much all we wanted to say in this video. One, obviously, thanks everyone so much, not only for watching this video, but those who backed the Kickstarter campaign, those who have been following us, and just thanks everyone for your support and stuff. It's really awesome and humbling and all that. And
absolutely,
we're really,
So the support's been overwhelming, and it's exciting for sure. I also want to give another shout out to our fans that were testing the game a while back, and the ones that gave us really good feedback and like you said, provided some video and stuff like that. All every step of the way, this has been an incredible journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoying it. Yeah.
But that'll be it for this video. I'm sure we'll be back in not too long with another one. But thanks again very much, and see you next time.
If you enjoy our content and want to keep up to date on our games, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support our projects, consider becoming a patron. The link's in the description, and we'll see you soon.